So when exactly are we going to be getting these $1,200 stimulus checks? Well, the answer is... Hey everybody, my name is Randy. Welcome to the Late Night Grind. Thanks for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to be giving you another stimulus update, another exciting round of what's been going on in Congress to decide the fate of our $1,200 stimulus checks. Yes, there's a lot of other things going on. Yes, there's unemployment benefits. Yes, there's evictions to worry about. Yes, there's a lot of things that need to be decided upon still. But for the most part, seems like everybody is just more concerned about that $1,200 stimulus check. But first things first, I'd actually like to ask you, if you could, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. That way you'll get to see the stimulus update videos that we put out, as well as other ones that I will be putting out in the near future. So for today, I'd really appreciate you do that. And don't forget to smash that thumbs up button. It actually really helps out with the YouTube algorithm and helps promote this video. So I'd really appreciate it if you would do that. So let's get into it. All right, so over the weekend, Donald Trump signed 4 executive orders, and I talked about that on the previous video, what that meant, what that was for. There's been a lot of talk about what he actually has power to do, whether or not those executive orders actually have any teeth to them. And there's been a lot of information and opinions going around on both sides of it. The main thing that I wanted to discuss was the order talking about evictions and extending the eviction moratorium. Because essentially what Donald Trump signed, the words of the executive order basically just said that he expects the HHS and CDC to work together to come up with measures to help out those who are having a harder time making their payments, to see if there's anything that they could do to help them out as long as it does not promote the spread of COVID. In other words, we don't want 40 million people getting evicted because 40 million people on the streets could spread COVID. That's essentially the explanation, but what's really happening is that White House economist Larry Kudlow actually said that, well, it was written that way for a purpose, and that's because HHS actually can declare emergencies, and when they do that, evictions will be frozen. So essentially it's saying that, you know what, you're not going to be evicted, don't worry about it, without actually saying it. Okay, so what this did to the stimulus talks overall. Basically, it brought Republicans and Democrats back to the table, thankfully, this week to talk more about, well, you know, the big issue at hand. This could largely be because some people think that the executive orders, while they were more of a Band-Aid, think they may have actually hurt the Republicans' hand in all this negotiation. Others think that Donald Trump did that for an exact reason, and that reason was actually to bring both parties back to the discussion table to talk about the rest of the stimulus package. So in any case, they were together today talking and discussing more about the package. Not much from what I read has been established. The Democrats still want a large, comprehensive, full stimulus package bill that's a comprehensive bill that really includes everything, including evictions, unemployment benefits, money to state and local governments, different things like that. Kind of what we heard last week is that both sides were bending a little bit in terms of what they wanted. The Republicans were bending in terms of how much they would be willing to give on unemployment benefit boosts. Democrats seemed like they'd be willing to give because they were willing to come down $1 trillion, as Chuck Schumer stated. So things could happen as early as this week. We will see. I'm not exactly holding my breath, but it's possible. So what would a timeline look like? There's a few different timelines. If you go back to the original CARES Act that was passed back in May, it took about 3 to 4 weeks from the time that was passed until payments began rolling out. They began rolling out in the form of direct deposits, in the form of printed checks, and also in prepaid debit cards, which is actually how I got mine. So the expectation is that this time around, it could be a little bit quicker of a turnaround because they already have those things in place that they did the first time. It would be a lot of using the irs.gov website, making sure your information that is there for direct deposits is still there, and going through that whole thing again. But my opinion, based on what I've been reading, is that it should definitely be a lot quicker this time around once they actually sign something. So far, just about the only thing that they have agreed upon is the fact that they both want $1,200 stimulus checks to go out to everybody. The HEALS Act that was actually proposed recently still included $500 per dependent, but was unlimited dependents. The Democrats said they had proposed in the HEROES Act actually included $1,200 for dependents. However, it was limited to just 3 dependents. So some things are changing a little bit in terms of the dependents, how much money that you could get for each dependent, as well as if they were over the age of 17 and not eligible for the stimulus check the first time around. So there is a possibility that if something was signed, say, by the end of this week, that we could be looking at a time frame right around the 2nd to possibly 3rd week of September in terms of when payments will begin rolling out. Now, like I said, it supposedly is going to be a little bit quicker than the first time around because they have a lot of these issues already figured out. It's just a matter of when they're going to get this thing signed. And when I'm reading up on this, my opinion is that the Republicans are just going to have to give in a little bit more than they had originally wanted. I don't think they're going to go ahead and compromise at a $2 trillion bill like the Democrats wanted to, or $2.4 trillion like they had asked the Republicans to. But I think they're going to have to give in on some things in order to get these checks out as quickly as possible to the rest of the population. My feeling is it could be somewhere maybe around 1.5 trillion. There's probably going to be some give and take between who gets the money and how much, not in terms of the $1,200 stimulus checks or the dependents, the rest revolving around state and local government funding, as well as funding to handle the pandemic issues and things like that. So that could take some time, but we'll see. Every day it changes. Every day there's a little bit more new information. It's been a little discouraging because the first time around they got this thing done extremely, extremely quickly. This time around it seems like both sides are playing politics. And I don't believe this is the right time to be playing politics. Yes, unemployment numbers are improving a little bit. The stock market is absolutely exploding right now for some reason. I think some of it's speculation, some of it's just catching the right time frame, depending on what industry you're in. It's one of those things that needs to be kept up with almost every single day. So I try to read up on as much as I can, watch interviews, see what new information is coming out. And so that's going to be it for today. So again, that timeline that we're looking at, hopefully we could be looking at if something is signed this week, like I said, possibly 3 to 4 weeks before money actually starts rolling out, but we will see. I appreciate you watching this video. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well. And don't forget to smash that thumbs up button. I'd appreciate that as well. All right, thanks guys. I will see you in the next video.